Hey, it's Greg Grunberg, Snap Wexley, and you are listening to 6th Scale Scavengers.
All right, Scavengers, welcome to episode 59 of the 6th Scale Scavengers podcast. Coming on our normal day, different time to accommodate our good friend Roy from the Netherlands. It is 12:38 a.m. And Roy, we are super glad to have you joining us again for the first time since episode 50 with our special episode that we have there. So loving the display, Roy. We'll ask you about it in a little bit. I'm your host, Bryan Fontaine, joined as always with my good friends and co-hosts, Chris Letty and TC. And as I mentioned, we've got a special episode. Roy, we've been trying to get you on for a couple episodes now, and we finally were able to make schedules connect. It's awesome being friends and connecting daily in messenger groups as part of the Scavengers Council. It's a little bit tougher than people would think to try to get all of us together on one day when our schedules connect. So Roy, we're super glad to have you tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, guys. It's an honor to be here as well.
And we've been saving a figure, Chris, to talk to Roy about, because Roy around these parts has been pretty synonymous with the heavy praise that he's had for the solo Mudtrooper figure. And we've been dying to talk about it, but I wanted to make sure that we had Roy on to do that. So that will be our feature figure review for episode 59. As always, we're going to cover news, our entertaining collecting updates as usual. It doesn't look like, looking at our show notes here, it's going to be too boring at all. And then our topic today, and I think this is going to be something that obviously Roy has a lot of experience with, but I think it's going to be a topic relevant to a lot of collectors and scavengers out there, is some of the best ways to rotate. As we're going live, no edits out of this one. I certainly have got Roy on the brain, apparently. Rotating your Hot Toys collection around, whether you have items in storage and you move them out of storage into display, whether you're changing your display around. And Roy, I'm sitting here in awe over your DVD-less display behind you. Like,
I can see Eric is missing the DVDs. Danny is missing the DVDs, but I'm not missing them. I'm loving this. It looks so cool. I can see it now, and I'm looking at my screen, and I can see myself, and I'm just looking at my collection, and I go, yeah, I did good. Yeah,
you done well. You done well, Roy. So TC, we are right in the thick of Spooktacular. It's about to be Halloween on October 31st, and Sideshow is still going through with their annual tradition of giving us giveaways and reward codes. Again, like we talked about last time out, we're not necessarily the biggest, we don't do a lot of our buying from Sideshow, but it's still nice to see the event that they put on for collectors in the community. I think a lot of collectors rally around it. We're seeing it on our scavenger group. You're seeing it in groups like Tashi Station, 6th Scale Economist, people sharing codes. They seem to be going quick this year. So you got to be on top of them. I'm like mashing my phone to like relog in. And by the time I do that, I've missed it.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like they've done a better job than a few weeks ago. I know that Zach and Dean from Collecting Weekly were saying that there's been a lot more codes, so that's a great thing. So less complaints and more enjoyment off the reward code projects. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, they're adding up and coming in at really weird times. Lots coming in late in the evening, early morning stuff. And usually I'll wake up randomly in the middle of the night hoping it's to coincide with the code dropping. But unsuccessful yet.
As Mike would say, when he's up in the middle of the night because he's an old man, and he just happens to catch some of the codes. And Scott had the best line of the day in our council chat. Is he goes, I've missed all the codes that you guys haven't sent in the chat. So, so anyways, before we get going, I wanted to thank Ray with Underground Figures. In the last couple newsletters that he sent out to his customer base, he's mentioned, the strive for that magical number that we strive as YouTubers as 1,000 subscribers, and we're getting quite a bit now. I think yes, it would be nice to get to 1,000. It's not necessarily a personal goal of ours. Our personal goal, Chris, as it's been from day one, is to help as many people in collecting as we can. And I think once we get to that point, I think we can better communicate to the community through YouTube and stuff. And so that's more to come. It's been a slow burn over 2.5 years. So we're just happy to see all the support we have out there from Scavengers. And Ray with Underground Figures, he's one of my go-to places to get hot toys. So stand-up guy, and really thank him for including us in his newsletter.
Absolutely. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there.
So Chris, you had kind of a neat little
giveaway
just that you won.
Right. Just a quick thing. Everybody, I'm sure, that's on Instagram or, a lot of Facebook groups and stuff, they just participate in giveaways hoping that they'll win. And most of the time we don't win. But on Instagram, I just randomly signed up for a giveaway by @Rebel Art Empire, and they produce all kinds of swag and that sort of thing. And I actually won an Ahsoka prize pack with all the stuff that they were going to give away at Celebration Anaheim, and several other custom pieces. So I just want to give them a shout out. And if anybody's on Instagram and likes custom art and Ahsoka stuff, definitely check out @Rebel Art Empire. So thanks to them. Appreciate it.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, guys, we have a jam-packed show, so let's get into all the news here. How many figures did we get here, guys? Because they just kept piling up, and I thought we were going to have a good show anyways, and then we just got all this news goodness out here. It's
I think we're up to 7, maybe. Man, quite a few.
So we'll start off with the first one up, and this wasn't necessarily a surprise to get Jango Fett, because we saw it on the summer con that Sideshow had. It was on display. We got another better look at the Tamara Morrison. I can't ever say that name, Chris.
Tamara Morrison.
Morrison, thank you. As somebody that's a fan of the prequels and the Clone Wars, I should have a better handle on that, but I don't. So we have Jango Fett from Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, MMS 589, as we march towards that. Hopefully MMS 600, that'll be the Mark 1 diecast. Fingers crossed, guys. MSRP on this one is $285, Chris, a little bit higher than we would have expected. When we start going through the photos here, there's a lot of extra goodies with this one that very enticing. So this was announced on October 16th. Hot Toys, Chris, is projecting that we're going to get this Q1, Q2, 2022, or Sideshow saying January to March 2022. So we got a long lead time on this.
Yeah. I mean, as with most of these, they're about a year and a half out. But it gives you time to save your pennies if this is one you definitely want. Great looking figure. Execution is top notch from the prototype. I think, there's not a whole lot extra that I could see them doing with this. And the price tag, again, these figures, the prices are slowly, over time going up and up. You do get a lot. You do get a lot with this figure, a lot of options, display options, especially with the unmasked head sculpt, which looks phenomenal. And I just think it's a great overall figure. It's one I'd like to add down the line. Not one I've pre-ordered yet, kind of changing up my pre-order philosophy. Hoping that, in a year and a half when he releases, it'll be available. But great figure. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Roy.
Yeah,
Sorry, Roy.
I haven't pre-ordered him yet, but I'm definitely going to pre-order him. But looking at the head sculpt, I'm slightly disappointed myself. He looks a bit different than the head sculpt we got for Captain Rex. Captain Rex is a bit older, of course, but he should be the same person. And the younger head sculpt looks a bit. His facial features are a little bit smaller than what I expected for some reason. But I'm probably just gonna pose him helmeted, so it's not a big no for me. And I don't know why they put a poncho with him, but I really think nobody is going to pose him with that poncho and cover up that armor. So that's a weird addition, but it's just a bit of class to add to the box, of course. And he comes with so much stuff. But yeah, I'm just gonna pre-order him and pose him up next to Boba. That's going to look awesome.
Yeah.
TC. So as Roy said, this thing's packed with goodies. So, going through on the screenshot we have here, it comes with a grappling hook that he snares Obi-Wan with. He's got his gauntlets that he, climbs the side of Kamino on. He's got so I don't think it's a separate helmet. It's a top of the helmet that has the dent in it. He's got his little earmuff ski warmer thing he's got here that he wears when he's flying Slave One. Roy, you mentioned the head sculpt. Yeah, I kind of expected it to be a little bit puffier in the cheeks maybe, but still pretty good. He's got his blasters, a grenade, whole bunch of other stuff, 2 different backpacks. So when you add all that up, TC, I mean, it does seem like it. I think the sticker shock for a lot of people was high on this one, but I mean, me personally, especially when you look at the craftsmanship of the armor, and it looks like there's like leather pleather parts here on the upper torso, it doesn't feel like that much of a this still seems like I mean, it's hard to call $285 a value, but I'm not as upset about it as some.
Well, yeah, I mean, the one thing to consider too is, these are priced for 2022. So we're not getting it today. So like other figures like Cody, Mando, those ones that just got released, they're in the 240s, 250s. It's not the same. There's 2 years difference. So by the time we get this in hand, 285 might not seem, that outlandish. I know it's not great to see the rising prices. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of where we're going. But like you guys said, the execution of the prototype's really top notch and long awaited, but happy a lot of collectors are going to get that figure they want.
Yeah, so I did
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We're losing Bryan.
We're losing him.
We're going to have an emergency takeover.
Shifting direction.
We'll shift direction, but we'll kick it off with, or we'll continue with Darth Maul released. DX18 Darth Maul from Solo. I know a lot of people slept on this figure, but early reviews are in, and it's looking really good. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, this one was definitely one that I was curious to see in hand pictures, and what definitely. I mean, I had it on pre-order from Ray at Underground Figures, but seeing Jenkin Wong's unboxing and review, that's definitely. I just love the look of that figure. I think the legs, the outfit is different enough to, put it aside from the episode 1 version. And I kind of like it better than the episode 1 version.
Yeah, there's a couple things better about it, but yeah, real quick, retailed for $274, announced July 15, 2019, and released October 2020. So a little over a year. And there are a couple things I like about it too. The neck piece, like the head sits better on the body to me than the Phantom Menace Maul. It looks more natural. The paint's better, and I just like the design. It's not a pleather, and that's a good thing. So it looks like a top-notch figure. I don't know if it's for my collection, but don't sleep on this one. It was probably under ordered, and
people canceled.
Lower.
I
Yeah,
think
I
a lot
did.
of people canceled pre-orders when the Clone Wars version was shown, or maybe even before then. But yeah, Roy, do you have this on pre-order?
Yeah, I definitely have this on pre-order. I just love it. It's a bit of a mythos Darth Maul look,
Mm.
but now he's of course real because he was in Solo like that with the robotic leg. So that's for me the Clone Wars version of Maul a bit. So I definitely love this figure. But the only thing I dislike a little bit about is his clothing. Is it's covering his legs too much. I think it's going to be hard to pose. I have the same issue with the Phantom Menace version. I think the outfit just covers up a bit too much of his limbs, so that's going to be hard to pose well and to pull off the look you want to at least get a look of those incredible robotic legs.
Yeah, I think
they look very good.
yeah, it definitely having that bench or whatever it is for him to sit on, and you can kind of get his legs on display when he's sitting on that. It's just another display option. But I don't know. I just looking forward to that one, and I think we're going to be getting that one pretty soon on the stateside.
Yeah. Are you guys going to post him with the bench or sitting him down, or you're not getting him, of course, TC? But are you going to sit him down?
I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how my display works out. But it's if he's on his own, I might have him sitting there to try it out. But yeah,
I do have him on order actually.
Oh, you do have. Sorry.
Yeah, I just I'm always on the fence because I'm trying to really hone in on where I'm going with my collection, and solo figures don't line up. But Maul is a cool figure. I mean, it's Darth Maul. It's synonymous with Star Wars at all the different time periods. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But great figure, and looking forward to seeing everybody get those in hand. But moving on, we'll keep the pace. The Death Trooper from The Mandalorian was released recently. It was originally announced March 3rd, 2020, released October 20th, 2020. So again, a little over a year. And this is from The Mandalorian TMS 013, $235. Basically a reissue of the original Death Trooper with enhanced weathering.
Yeah, slightly more weathering indeed. Yeah, that's the only difference I saw in the reviews.
Exactly. Oh, and it looks like the gun holster
visor, and the visor is a different color of a shade of green. It's
might
more
be a different
prominent
shade of green, and then the gun holster is a little better quality.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Those magnets suck.
But Roy, do you have that one on pre-order?
Yeah, I only have the what's the one with the little doll, the
Specialist Deluxe.
Yeah, the Specialist. Yeah, because I actually pre-ordered the other version, the regular troop, because I like the slimmer design of that without the backpacks and stuff. But my shipment got lost, so that's why I went with the Specialist version, which now is ridiculous in price, and even so I'm very happy this got re-released. So now I have both versions for retail. So that's I'm very happy with that. But I hope it displays well with the difference in weathering.
Yeah, to differentiate it for sure. Yeah, I got this. I pre-ordered 2 of them from Big Bad Toy Store. I don't know. I'm not canceling my one of them just because I don't want to lose an NRD. But I had sold my other Death Trooper recently because I knew I had 2 coming, and I felt like I could capitalize on that, selling that figure at a higher price and getting these 2. We'll see. I mean, I had planned on having one of them to go with Krennic, and then have one with, the Mando display. But earlier this summer, I had been able to get a couple of the Death Troopers unexpectedly. So yeah, it's, just an awesome design. And it's not just a trooper we've seen. Now we've seen him in Rogue One, obviously The Mandalorian. We've seen it in Clone Wars, in Rebels, and then it's also been featured in comics and stuff like that. So this is a trooper that I think obviously a lot of people really like, and it's nice to see it in other mediums too.
And Bryan's back.
Bryan's back.
Thank
Yay.
goodness.
I'm seeing. I'm gonna be disappointed if somebody doesn't meme my my frozen headshot. It's
I'm
only happened to
seeing,
Chris. Yeah, only happened to Chris in a while. So I don't know what's going on. I've got a brand new laptop. I don't know why it's causing so many issues here tonight. So, anyways, everybody, we good with the Death Trooper here?
Yes.
All right. So next up was on October 21st, keeping this 3 days and 3 figures going. And we had Stan Lee from Thor Ragnarok, MMS 570, which is one of the Toy Fair exclusives, announced on July 2nd. We got it October 21st, right in line with basically when we expected. I mean, all these Toy Fair figures are coming out ahead of time. So we've mentioned it before. We'll mention it again. Usually you don't get blogger photos with the... speaking of blogger photos, I'm almost positive it's the photos of Maul that crashed my computer. So, because that happened pre-show too. Not that I'm bitter or anything. I really wanted to talk about Maul with you guys, but yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know, Chris. Like, I feel like the interest on that kind of waned. I mean, it's an extremely funny part. Probably one of Stan's best cameos. My son got a kick out of it when we went back through recently and did the rewatch. I mean, he busted a gut laughing. So I don't know. I mean, you either get that, you get Spaceman Stan. I don't know. We've talked about it before. I think, to have him complete your Ragnarok collection, it can get expensive, especially with like Road Worn Thor, Hela, Gladiator Hulk. So I don't.
It's an expensive line, man.
It is an expensive line if you weren't there at retail.
Yeah. I think the Stan Lee figure looks really fun and definitely very, very different from anything else that's going to be on your shelf, Marvel related. It's just, if you don't have that Ragnarok line, I mean, do you really need it? I mean, I recently sold my spacesuit Stan Lee to try to free up some funds. As fun as it is, I just can't. I needed to trim the fat a little bit. And if I don't have that one, I'm not going to get this one. I'm happy that people have an option, a different display option with this figure, but I don't know. The spacesuit one hung around for so long. You can still get it below retail. I'm curious if this one was under pre-ordered or if there's just going to be sitting around for a while.
Well, TC, I mean, we talked about this beforehand when we started to see like Underground Figures be able to offer the figure. And then you saw the
Big
following
Bad Toy
day
Store,
after
yeah.
Ray sent it out, like Big Bad Toy Store, like Chris said, it seemed weird because they're like, oh, email us and we'll order it that way, but you can't actually order it through the site. I mean, talk about Witchball City.
Yeah, very odd. It's almost like, does Sideshow force these on their customers, their wholesale customers? Because it's not really worth it to me for these smaller businesses to carry it. It's not. It's just there's so many key characters coming out that are soon to be released. Iron Man's coming out. Cap, obviously Mando, Cody just got released. Maul, everyone's long way to Gamora. I mean, there's just Stan Lee in these different outfits and cameos. It's just way on the bottom for a lot of collectors, unless you've got the entire Ragnarok line. Unless you have a real strong affinity for Stan Lee. I just don't see the appeal for a lot of people, and I think that's why these other retailers got them. And it's not, I doubt it sells out anytime soon.
I'm wondering if Hot Toys may kind of scrap this plan going forward. I'm because there's not really another one that totally stands out more than those two. They're pretty normal figures or character designs. So I'll be really curious to see if they do another exclusive next summer.
Roy, any thoughts about this one? We haven't come around to you on this.
Yeah, I have the spacesuit version, and to me, that's a good representation of him in my collection. I just like the idea of him sitting on a stone somewhere in space, looking down on the complete MCU,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Thor Ragnarok version of him is just too exclusive. I doubt many people will get him, so I'm not adding him to my collection either.
I mean, if he's $100 under retail, I might consider it.
Then to your point, Chris, I mean, does Sideshow's really got to start considering that, as the market got really, it got really hot for the original Stanley figure, after he left us, and I think people went hunting for that, and I think Sideshow maybe have looked at the aftermarket of that and decided, hey, let's keep that going. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Stanley as much as the next person, but you don't necessarily need that many multiple versions of him, in a collection. As Roy said, I think one is enough. So, but I have seen, there is still some excitement for the figure, and it is, as I said, a very funny part of that movie. I love Ragnarok; it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. I think I've got the photos working. It's working for some, but not others. I'm gonna have to fire up my flux capacitor here to get an extra 88 miles an hour to fire this thing up for the rest of the show here. Nebula on screen. I think, guys, I looked at it. It was about 571 days.
Wow.
So
is it? No, it could. That seems long. Maybe it was for another figure. I looked at that, but Gamora is going to be the record, I think, at this point. I'm just waiting for her to drop. So her sister, Nebula from Avengers Endgame, MMS 534, MSRP 235, announced originally way back before Endgame hit theaters, April 4th, 2019. Guys, remember when movies were in theaters? That was kind of a cool thing.
No.
Released October 27th, 2020. And about a quarter later than Hot Toys originally had expected. So yeah, to me, this is more of a COVID delay than anything, but I'll lead it off because I miss talking about Maul. Guys, I think this is more an Infinity War than an Endgame release. And we were talking to Scott from Parker Files the other day when this released, and it would be really nice, as I've kind of my cursor here, having the red orange panel over her eye, so it matches more up with Endgame, because you see her 2014 self switch it out. Either that, or it would have been nice to include that as well. But don't get me wrong, this looks fantastic. I think they improved on the prototype. To me, the face sculpt looks better. The clothing looks better, Roy. The funky anatomy thing going on that was the prototype, I think, is also gone. I mean, this looks like Karen. Is it Karen Gillan?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. I think this is fantastic, Roy.
Yeah. To me, this is a nice collection or addition to my Guardians part of my collection. I just like the blue in her face. It pops so well with the red of her outfit. So I have Yandu here somewhere. Here.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, and that's such a great figure, and I think this is going to be the same sort of figure, just as Yandu as Yanu, and her outfit looks on point. It's leather, of course, or pleather, and I hope she poses well. I can see some excellent pictures now from the guys, and I'm really happy with this release.
So, guys, before I flip it over, Roy, one follow-up question to this is you made a comment that not that I need you to get out your crystal ball or anything, but it's a kind of a sore subject on this show, Chris, with Yondu. You made the point, Roy, that this may have been under pre-ordered, and this definitely turned out fantastic. As I just mentioned, me just looking at these blogger photos, I can say that it looks like it turned out better than the prototype. Roy, do you think this one got under pre-ordered, and I think there might be some of that aftermarket regret, setting in?
Yeah, it might be. I think everybody who wanted Nebula looking back at when she got announced, I think we had a show back then as well, and the hype was real. So I think everybody who wants her pre-ordered her, but maybe due to the longer time it took to release, maybe some people changed their minds and changed their collection. So I think this one would be the first one to go out of the pre-order list. But yeah, looking at this, I have no regrets keeping her on. That it looked just perfect, and it might be that we get another version, maybe an endgame version with the red scalp. I think it could be an easy turnaround for Hot Toys if they notice an increase on the secondary market.
For sure. Thanks, Roy. So, Chris, I'm going to make you wait because you're the resident Guardians expert, and I just like putting you in the corner after you go on your long little pulling a Letty here. So, TC, I know that you're very kind of more centered on your collection now, especially with the Marvel stuff. But I mean, like me, I think you have to marvel, pun intended, at this thing from afar, though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's great work by Hot Toys. You know, it is unfortunate that they don't have the right whatever it is on her face. I don't know what it's even called, but the silver portion, it should not be silver. That's unfortunate, but yeah, like you guys said, I mean, it might be under pre-order. The difference between this and a Yondu is, you know, if she shows up again, you know, in a couple years, you know, Yondu, they would legitimately have to re-release the figure, like a straight re-release, and usually that's, you know, it's still fairly uncommon for that to happen, and hence why you get Yondu with the $500 to $600 plus price tag, especially new. But yeah, this is great, and I had her on pre-order one time. I wanted to order, but I just never got around to it. But it'll always be on the back of my list, and we'll see what happens down the road. But you know, happy for, you know, people who are getting it.
All right, Chris. Made you wait long enough. Here, you can go on your little 10-minute rant here.
No, it's all right. I mean, we've been waiting for quite some time for her. Yeah, she was dopo for me. Day one pre-order. Had to have her with the Guardians family. And I'll reiterate what all you guys said. I mean, this looks a lot better than the prototype. Like Bryan said, the body type, the fitment of the clothing. I just think they really nailed the final product, and I think the face sculpt just looks spot on. I really like the fact that they actually gave us a Nebula. At one point, she was my number one wanted Marvel figure, and I was super excited when they announced her. And yeah, I know sometimes the screen accuracy, there's like little things here and there that Hot Toys doesn't quite get. And I almost wonder if it's because they started the production process so early on that it's possible that some stuff changes, you know, before the movie gets finished or whatever it might be. And either Hot Toys can't change it or they just choose not to. It's always interesting to see why they make some of those little adjustments or lack of adjustments. But yeah, I love this figure. I can't wait to get it. This one was from Sideshow, and hoping that we can get her before the end of the year in the States.
Yeah, it's looking pretty timely. So kind of a surprise. This one I will start out with TC here because he is, like me, also a Iron Man diecast fanatic. The Iron Man Mark 21, the Midas, all gold, from Iron Man 3, MMS 586, D, diecast 36. Now, as Hidalgo just mentioned, all the way up, it's up for pre-order on Sideshow now. I was not expecting that. I have the page on the website all ready to go. 405 is that MSRP, obviously announced today on October 28th as we are going live here on YouTube and our audio podcast. TC, this is going to have a really quick turnaround because the Sideshow saying January to March at the beginning of 2021. Hot Toys is saying Q4 2020 to Q1 2021. And I think the big draw about this one, TC, is not only is it die cast and it's all gold feel like there's like a gold member joke in there somewhere. But this is for the 20-year anniversary of Hot Toys, and I believe that this is going to be available at one of their new flagship stores. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. So it's to celebrate the new launch of one of their flagship stores, and the 20th anniversary of Hot Toys. And to anyone who thought they were going to do anything different, I don't know why. I mean, this is the backbone of what they're going to do. I look at the comments and like, oh, where's my Doc Brown figure, the second version? Where's this figure? Finished the House Party Protocol. Where's this Star Wars character? Where's this DC Harley Quinn or whatever it is? Whatever it might be, they're going to make this kind of figure. It's Hot Toys is what they do, and it's just something that we all have to come to grips with. That anytime that there's a big celebration, it's going to likely involve some kind of Iron Man. But Midas is cool, man. They've got there's two original Midas figures. The one that was released back in 2013 is an exclusive, and then the one that launched for the Shanghai, I believe the Disney store at their Disney World in Shanghai. And that one's chromed out. So this is like a hybrid between both of those with the added diecast and the new mold. And yeah, I mean, this is a buy for me. 100%.
Yeah, I was wondering. I didn't get a chance to ask you that in the council chat today. Roy, any thoughts? Any strong feelings about this one?
Oh, certainly I have strong feelings. No, this is an easy pass for me. This is way too specific for my my Iron Man collection. I just like my my main suits, and this is it looks very good. I love the design of this suit, but no, it's not for me.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool. So Chris, you know, I mentioned in the council chat earlier, it's like it kind of I know Roy doesn't like me to have rules. Roy, by the way, is my collecting guardian angel. Like if I ever do something bad, he's there to kind of slap me on the wrist, or you know, put her arm around me if I do something good, which very rarely ever happens. It's mostly
it would help if you'd listen, but
it would help. I would be I'd have a lot more money in my bank account if I listened to you more, Roy. But Chris, so the rule that I have is okay if Tony Stark wears the suit in one of the movies and it's considered like a main one, like this is part of the House Party Protocol. Obviously, he probably wore this off screen at one point. I believe this is an armor that shows up at the end of Iron Man 3 when he calls the House Party Protocol, but I don't believe he actually gets into this suit. And obviously then it's destroyed when he initiates the clean sweep initiative. So I don't know. I keep looking at it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, it's a little bit more tempting, but I just feel like it's too, as Roy said, it's a little too specialized for me.
It could be a good placeholder next to R2D2.
It could
I can see Colin make a good remark about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's definitely very true. Yeah, or go good with like Patrick's saying with the golden Wonder Woman suit from 1984. Yeah, I just again, like, I'm not surprised that this is an anniversary exclusive from Hot Toys. I think it looks really good. I really like the way the different tones of gold, and it's like rose gold and silver and stuff. I think all that looks really well. And thanks, Gary. I really appreciate it. I'll take your word for it. So I just, yeah, right. He's a GOAT supporter of ours. For
by
sure.
the way, I'm just going to completely derail what you're talking about. Like, Gare Bear, shout out for getting back into Star Wars, my friend. Got Obi-Wan and Anakin back, and Mando on the way. I know you're probably sleeping on the couch, but you always have a place to stay at one of our places.
Absolutely. Yep. The things we do for our figures. But yeah, no, I'll just close out. Like, it's a great looking figure, and I think TC, I can't wait to see it in your Iron Man lineup, because it just adds that different touch.
Yeah, I mean, you can put it next to the Mark II, silver and gold, that kind of contrast. And it's Christmas season, so if you like the Rudolph song "Silver and Gold," you can play that.
Sing it for us.
It is. I have neighbors up the street that already have lights on their trees, so they're. I mean, hey, with the way the world's going, you might as well have some enjoyment in your life wherever you get it. So to each their own.
I mean, would you put it past Hot Toys to do Christmas edition Iron Man figures, kind of like Hasbro just did with a bunch of their Star Wars things?
Yeah, those look horrid, by the way.
Yeah.
Candy cane Iron Man Mark V.
Yes. Let's do it.
All right. So speaking of Iron Man and Iron Man 2, another Toy Fair exclusive got released, and again we'll mention it just because the Toy Fair exclusives do not get the blogger photo treatment. Essentially, the images that we get when the figures are announced is essentially it's almost a finished product by that point because the turnaround is so close. So obviously released today at Secret Base in Hong Kong. Again, that same July 2nd date that we got the Stanley figure, obviously released today, October 28th. That retail price is $285. Essentially Whiplash 2.0. Chris, I know you've got the original.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have the privilege of having a Mark V in your collection, I think it makes for a good scene. Personally, I think Whiplash is an okay MCU villain. I think there's better. I'm apologetically a fan of Iron Man 2 in general. I probably like that movie more than most people do, but I don't know. It's a good upgrade over the first one. Again, to me, it's very scene specific, and I don't know. What are you thinking, Chris? I mean, you have the original. I don't think you're letting that one go.
No. And the thing is, it's funny because like 2.5 years ago, I paid $290 shipped for the first one. Yeah, I know. And it's like
scavenging.
And well, at the time, that thing was going for well over 300. So like I got a good price at it, for it at the time because I had Mark V coming, so I was gonna make sure I had that figure. I don't know. I'd like to see a comparison between the original and the new one to see how much better the head sculpt is. But I think that even being such an old figure, that figure really does hold up. I think it was kind of ahead of the game with the detail on that figure. I think they definitely tightened up the painting and paint applications for the head sculpt. But yeah, this was an easy pass for me. I felt no need to kind of trade up.
Roy, TC, any quick thoughts about that one?
Yeah, I'm just with you, Brian. This is too scene specific for me to be adding to my collection. I don't think I even have some of the MCU villains. And there aren't any good figures of the Iron Man villains, so no, this is an easy pass for me.
Yeah, same. Nothing else.
Sometimes we can say it in so few words, which is a good thing. I tend to ramble a lot, but my co-host tends to ramble even more than I do these days. All right, just a quick, Brett, screenshot that with my. I don't even want to know what my screen looked like. I'm flustered enough to come back together here and bring the show together with getting locked out of my own control board for a few minutes. So just another couple quick hitter guys. I know, Chris, like you mentioned before, we like to keep tabs on what's going on with Sideshow just because even though we don't necessarily order all our figures from Sideshow, it's a good leading barometer of what's going on in the market, what's going to be, selling out quickly at the smaller retailers, what's going to potentially start going up in the secondary market. Yeah,
so we got Cody, Mando, Qui-Gon all shipping soon from Sideshow. And I think maybe Maul as well. And then, Mark 47, Spider-Man 2099, Star-Lord, Mark 4 Hollow, all in stock at Sideshow as well. So, we had a lot of figures had gone to wait lists and sold out from Sideshow, and now we're getting another wave of figures that are going to be in stock, and we can hopefully use those rewards codes and promo codes and stuff to knock those prices down. And then during Spooktacular, we always get Back from the Dead figures. I didn't notice this one, but when you guys did Ultron, I guess, back in, and Did you guys notice any other ones? Were there any ones that
The
other one?
bat.
The bat. So
the,
was that the 1/12 scale?
Yeah, the 1/12 scale came back again.
So how do they
Hulk-
keep finding those?
Hulkbuster 2.0 came back.
Oh,
I think
that's
somebody
right.
in our group got that.
Yeah, Chris V got that, I think.
Yeah, so I got a little tempted, but then again, I had Roy's voice in my head. It said, "Don't
do it."
do
Our
it. You'll regret it."
lowest rated review that we done.
Yeah, I think that had less than a 4. It was like a 3.75, I think.
No, I think it was less than that.
Oh, was
Yeah,
it? Like
it wasn't good. Yeah,
3 out of 5. I think that was like back in episode 17 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had that in my head, but then I was like, wait, Tony Stark didn't wear that on screen. That was Bruce.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. I'd look back at the comments here. Nathan was looking for my comments on Maul, so I'll listen back to see what you guys said there. But man, that came out so good. I guess I'll talk about it in my collection update coming up here pretty quick. But man, Hot Toys does DX figures so well. I mean, if it's a good figure, if it's a good character, you know that Hot Toys, they put that extra effort into the DX figures for sure. I can't think of a DX figure in recent memory that has turned out poorly.
No, they're all good.
Even some of the Terminator figures, although older, have held up pretty well. So, all right, that's the news. That is the news. And now, guys, let's talk collection update. And I'm looking at the notes here. It's not as crazy as it's been, and now that we've got Roy, you're the Alfred behind the scenes. You help so much with most importantly being my collecting guardian angel. You also help with all the cover art for all of our episodes, and just in general being a good friend and helping us with our collecting decisions here. So I do know that you have a couple figures in hand that you were able to get. So why don't you talk about those?
Yeah, I got 2 troopers. I got one very rare figure. I know for sure nobody else has this one. I got the red Sith jet trooper from the latest Star Wars movie, and I think I'm the only one in the Netherlands who has it. So I might be even in the western part of the world. So yeah, I think that one's gonna go up in price majorly. So I'm just waiting for you all to see that I made the best decision ever, and and it's going to be sought after in about 25 years, I think. And
it'll be an antique by then.
Yeah. So it looks weird. It's such a weird figure, and that's why I like it. So
what do you? Roy, I got to ask you before you move on to your next one too. What do you make of the helmet? Is it like the little shrimp-looking things?
I got a very weird Predator-looking figure. I think it's the most recent Hot Toys Predator figure, and that's about it. Yeah, it's just a unique design, and I like it because of that. Because if nobody likes it, I like it. I think that's a good rule of thumb there. And the other figure I have is the Incinerator Trooper, and I really like it. It's I don't see it. You don't have it ready already, I think, Chris. I thought you had him in your display.
Yeah, not yet. I still haven't cracked them open yet.
It needs to age about a year before Chris will open it. So.
True story.
Yeah, yeah, I really like it, despite it being glossy, just like the Remnant Trooper, which is glossy as well. The yellow on his helmet is, the red on his helmet is matte finish, but the rest of the figure is glossy, which it's kind of a big contrast. I was a bit disappointed in that, but it's still a great looking figure. So no selling here. I'll never sell figures. So I'll leave that all to you guys.
Well, and it's funny too, because I don't know if we've ever really talked about this before too, but I know that you've shared before, like how jealous you are and how liquid we can make our collections. Like just one day, just decide, okay, I'm gonna sell all this and change focus. Like that would be like it could take you like a year to do that in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's incredible how fast you guys can just sell figures off for a good amount of always making a profit, it seems. And if I'm going to sell even sought after figures in the US here in the Netherlands, I'm going to have a hard time reaching retail or getting retail for it. So that's part of a decision to just keep them. But whenever I'll sell a bunch of them, I'll just ship them to you guys, and you can make a nice profit for me.
Load up a crate and ship it over.
All right, for sure. So TC, let's go with you next.
All right, I'll try and be quick. My dog, I have a feeling, is going to start barking really soon. But yeah, so actually, I looked at my list and I was kind of surprised. I shouldn't be, but I was. I sold several figures. I sold Rey, or I'm trying to sell Rey. I sold Chirrut, War Machine Mark III, Loot Crate, and Doctor Strange from Infinity War. I've been talking for a while that I'm going to, pare down my collection. We need to focus more on Iron Man and Mando and Clone Wars, some key pieces there. And, I finally just got around to it. Kind of, sometimes I just don't have the motivation to do that. But got around to it, and I've got a bunch more. Because, I know for some people this isn't a lot of figures. But I had like 50 to 60, and it was just too much. And for where I was going. So, hopefully I get down to the 30 or less by the time it's all done, and kind of then pick it back up as we get more figures from the Clone Wars and in the Mando line, and obviously more Iron Man. So it's a process that's continuing, and also I've started to pick up some other things. Like behind me, you see some prints, and these are they're Mando prints by a guy named Tyler Stout, and just for my room to kind of give it a kind of transform it into the office that I want to have. I wanted some stuff on the wall, and I wanted some nice pieces. So I've been picking up some of those and getting them framed. And that's coming along really well. I'm really enjoying it. His artwork style is amazing. I think the person that the person that kind of put me towards him, I guess, or I don't know how to say it. I'm like stumbling here. Created my interest. There we go. Created my interest with Steve from Rogue 1/6. And he mentioned Tyler Stout and his quest to get some of the Star Wars ones. And his Star Wars ones are, they're infamous for the original trilogy, A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. And he's got a bunch of Marvel ones, and those are the ones I want to collect. And they're just so cool. It's almost like all of them are kind of like an Avengers theme where they bring in all the characters into one print. And it's just an interesting style and something I want to kind of continue to expand on. But so that's that. Sold off those figures. Picked up Mando from Bryan. So thank you, Bryan. Got that from BBTS, was the original supplier. And man, Mando's phenomenal. When you guys open them up, it's a great figure. There's, the simplest of poses look lifelike, and it's definitely, I'm glad I'm collecting the Mando figures. Because there's going to be several more down the line, and I think each one's going to kind of bring its own shelf presence. So, yeah, that's it.
Very cool. All right, Chris, you want to go next or last?
Yeah, I'll go. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so speaking of selling figures, I continue that trend. The Purge is real. I sold Killmonger, Shuri, Wakanda Throne that I had gotten recently. Finally sold my Han and Chewie A New Hope set. Those were all on eBay. I know. Disapproving Roy is right above me there. And then I also have
bonk you on the head right where you're standing.
Oh, it's too funny. And then I've also got my Age of Ultron Hulk Deluxe currently on eBay, so I'm open to offers.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, wink, wink. We can make a deal off eBay if you want. Save me some fees. No, I needed to purge. I got so many figures coming. The budget really needed. I needed to pad the budget, the funds anyway, and. It's just like we do, a lot of the time, just like find what's most important. Can I dial things in? Am I going a little bit too crazy, with the collection? We talked about it. I think it was last episode, the amount of figures that I had plus on pre-order just got felt overwhelming. So I needed to lessen the load. So that's the stuff going out. Mandalorian, right behind me, arrived from Sideshow. Literally just opened that right before we went live. So haven't really been able to mess around with it too much, but it is just such an awesome figure. As soon as you open it up, I mean, you can just tell that this is one of the best figures that Hot Toys has ever put out, in my opinion. And then also was lucky enough to get my orders in from Big Bad Toy Store. I thought they were going to arrive in 2023, but they actually showed up in 2020. I got my Mark 47 Iron Man, Incinerator Trooper, and one little grinds my gears. I'll pull a collecting weekly here. Zach over there loves to, come up with the stuff, but like, it would have been really, I had the stuff in my pile of loot, and
do you even have a Winter Soldier?
No,
I have one from Civil War.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Scott's saying about.
So like I had the stuff in my pile of loot. Then I got a notification that Mark 47 was arriving. And then about 12 hours later, I got another notification saying that Incinerator Trooper was coming. I had already pulled my Mark 47 out of the pile of loot to get it. And granted, it's only $4 shipping. So I'm not complaining too much, but I wish there was a way that Big Bad Toy Store could have like given me a heads up. Like, hey, 2 of your figures in your order are available. We could just ship them out at the same time, because they both arrived on the same day in 2 different boxes. But nonetheless, they arrived double boxed, minty fresh shippers and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so I had some figures coming, and I got some more figures coming probably by the next time we record. So that's my
Very cool.
update.
All right, I'll bring it home. Not as crazy as it's been, but I actually had some surprising additions. So I'll start with pre-orders. As I mentioned, I did Dopo Jango Fett. I actually had a discussion, Roy. You'll get a kick out of this. So, we have our shameless plug alert. We have our t-shirts on TeePublic. Chris has got his action figures, not doll. I've got the standard logo going on. Just shameless plug alert again. So I was wearing my shirt the other day for day 1 pre-order, and my wife goes, "Wouldn't it be ordered day 1?" Or she's like, I don't get it. I was like, "It's the Dopo." She's like, "The what?" I was like, "Well, instead of putting Dopo on the t-shirt, it's like," she's like, "I just don't get it." So anyways, you have to be a scavenger to get it, Roy. Anyways.
Yeah.
But so Jango was I ordered that through Underground Figures. Actually, I think I sent Ray an email first thing in the morning. I said, "I know you don't get it on your site yet, but when you do, hold one aside for me." And Ray's great about that. I think that's one of the things. So if you order through Ray, you've got to email him unless you want to pay full price up front on the site. Customer service is bar none. I mean, he's one of the best in the game, in the community. And then, so I'll throw in my Darth Maul talk here. So guys, I had like a couple of weeks ago, even before the Clone Wars version had dropped, I was like, I just don't necessarily see the Darth Maul DX18 fitting in my collection. So I emailed Steve and I was like, if you don't mind, I hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna pass on this pre-order. It's like, not a problem. And then the final products came out, and Roy and I'm sure as I listen back to this, I'm sure you said wonderfully nice things about this. Mike, one of our moderators, part of the admin team, is he's convinced that it's a crime lord, Sith Lord, and it just looks fantastic. And I kept looking at it. I'm like, I am going to hate myself if I pass on this figure. And I love Darth Maul as a character too. So I added that one back. So I came groveling back to Steven and said, "Hey, can I have that pre-order back?" And he had one spot for me left. So he gave me that. So looking forward to eventually getting that back in. So new figures. I also got my Mandalorian in from Sideshow. I opened it, looked at it real quick. Looks awesome. I'm holding off displaying it until my module cases come in, sometime in 2023. And then this is where I kind of got some odd stuff. So I did actually, hopefully, knock on wood, Roy, you don't have to like smack me to the side of your screen here, but let go of my last figure that I'm intending to. And I let Mike, our moderators, I mentioned, I let him, sold my patrol trooper to him, and he's already displayed it. He posted pictures in the group. It looks fantastic. And just trying to hone in things a little bit more. But then after that, some just really interesting deals that came up as I kind of trying to build out my Infinity Saga shelf for my Mod case. The Intergalactic Arms Dealer himself was selling a Civil War Falcon, and I have regretted letting that one go ever since I did. So we worked out a really good deal for that, and it was a situation, was a win-win. So really happy to to help Mario out, and then also help myself out where I've got that. And I promised him, I didn't say long term, but I said at least immediately it's not going to go back out the door. And then as TC mentioned, he sold his Doctor Strange Infinity War figure that actually went to me from the Beto Hobby Shop. So thank you, TC. And then I hit up Letty Enterprises for a Count Dooku figure. So I sold it, I think, to somebody in the Six Scale Economist group. And a couple weeks later decided I still wanted Clone Wars figures. So, or Clone, that prequel era. So Chris was like, hey, I'm letting this one go. I'm like, hey, I'll take it. So
I forgot to put on my notes. Yeah.
That was a wash. And then finally, I've been just casually looking for Sideshow clones, and I don't have any intention of paying whatever market prices are going, but just in general, market prices are kind of dropping. And I've kind of been knowing that I don't think anytime soon that Hot Toys is going to do a phase 1 clone Captain Rex, because they've got the phase 2 one out there. That was one of the first figures that Sideshow had done in the clone line back in, I think, 2010, 2011. So anyways, I've tracked a few, and the prices not that long ago were in the $500 range. Actually, Roy, I think you were looking for some at 1.2.
Yeah. And
they started dropping to the 400s, the 300s. And then there was a couple that I was watching, and I ended up with, we don't usually talk prices here, but I'm only going to mention it just because I thought, it was a screaming deal. It's basically only $100 over original retail price, like almost 10 years later. That to me was pretty good. I got it in hand. The seller said that they'd always handled it with white gloves on. Lotus, you're welcome. Handled the box with white gloves. I opened it today, guys, and it looked like it was brand spanking new. And the clones are notorious for being a hot mess with how loose the bodies are. I don't think this guy ever posed it. I mean, it was pretty good for Sideshow clone standards. So I'm happy to add that to my prequel shelf as well. So,
Quick note,
guys, I don't know why people find this so entertaining. TC.
I don't know. But I have a side note I'd like to chime in on. Have you noticed the Hot Toys, the bodies that they use are like ultra stable now? Every knee joint's like is ratcheted, and all the arm joints are just super tight. I even like figures like Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan and Anakin. They weren't quite like that. It just seems like the newest wave. Since you were talking about the Rex body, it just seems like it's just ridiculous, the quality that they put in their figures now.
Yeah,
they've definitely upped their game with the underbody and the construction of it. Because even just the way the figures look, they just look more realistic.
Yeah.
Just the way you're able to pose them and the way the clothing fits over them, especially, with the young Han Solo. I mean, that one really sticks out to me, just looking so realistic. And obviously with the new Mando figure, in certain lighting and stuff, it looks like it's the actor in the suit. Yeah.
Just great for the longevity of the figures. Mm-hmm. The last test of time.
All right, guys, let's shift gears and talk about our show topic. And again, one of the reasons why we've been trying to coordinate, Roy. So we've had this topic in the hopper for a while, and probably bar none in terms of people in the scavenger community is about rotating displays. And Roy, I can't get enough of your display behind you in that sweet, sweet high definition. Your face looks fantastic in high definition, by the way, too. But your collection looks better.
Oh,
And
yay.
I mean, so, obviously, Roy, people are disappointed that your DVDs are no longer there. And one of the things that you've talked about previously is having, a smaller display space, probably smaller than even I've got, and I've got a smaller space here as well. Although I showed you guys pictures of my basement a couple days ago, and you're like, why have you not ever showed us that you have all that space available? Well, I'd have to finish it and all that other stuff, and then it's big money in a pandemic.
I know that pain.
But Roy, so as you mentioned, and I'm just kind of setting the stage here for you and setting the stage for, all of our viewers and listeners here too. So you very, very rarely ever will sell a figure. So your collection, you've been collecting longer than the longest out of the four of us here. And you have a really robust Hot Toys collection. So you have mastered the art of rotating displays, and that's why we wanted to kind of cover this, because I think this is not only a challenge, but I think it's also an opportunity for collectors to make sure to keep their displays fresh, to keep figures new. When you unbox something all over again, like I can't wait to unbox all my collection. I have one hot toy on display right now, and it's my Jack Sparrow DX15. Other than that, everything's in a box. Like every one of those I open, Roy, I'm going to feel like it's opening again for the first time.
Yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. It's just, you give some good tips or good statements about why it's a good thing to do. But for me, it came out of necessity, of course, because I had a very small display space. And compared to my current collection, it's still very small because, as you can see, I've got all those squares, and it's about, I think, 28 of them. So that's, if I put two figures in a box, it's space for 65 or 56 figures. And I have double the amount of Hot Toys. So that's already going to be an issue if I don't want to slam every figure in a cabinet, because some people like that and just put 5 figures in one of those cubicles. It's large enough for it to be, but I just like the focus of a single figure and just enjoying that figure without restriction. So yeah, that's why I started rotating my figures, and it's actually very easy to do, because I have multiple figures from Luke Skywalker, and you could always think about just having one Luke Skywalker, but I just like all the different versions of Luke Skywalker. So you can see I now have my Bespin version on display, but I can easily switch it out for another version, the ESB version, or one of the Force Awakens, and it's just changing the figures up is what's making it my display feel fresh every time. I can go months without receiving a figure, but just rotating every 2 weeks one figure, I get to experience the new Hot Toy smell and just the unboxing experience itself. Because it's just, I put a figure away, I make sure it's all clean and nice, and it's just all the sleeves are on it and their arms, and it's just like brand new. So when I get a figure out of my storage unit, I'll just take the time to unbox it and just do my thing, and I just get to enjoy the figure for the first time, or the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time. And whenever I have the feeling from like I'll not get the figure because I don't want to see it, that's the point for me to just sell it. But I've never had that feeling, so that's it's just I'm very picky with what I order, and just rotating keeps me on my keeps my collection feeling fresh, and that's what it's all about. If you have the same display for years on, you'll just end up passing it, and it won't feel like something changed. But if you walk past something and there's a slight difference in it, you'll just notice it directly, because there's something different in your regular routine, and that's what's make you what will make you watch at your collection new with fresh eyes, I think.
I mean, it's hard to say it much better than that, Chris. And one thing that we try to strive for on this channel and podcast feed or whatever you want to call us now is that it's just the appreciation of these figures. And it is a special occasion when we get them. And I think that's maybe why, Chris, that people enjoy the collection updates, because it's a monumental occasion to bring something into the collection or let's just make the decision to let something go. I mean, and if you had a virtual notepad, I would have a feeling that you're probably taking a whole bunch of notes down, because right now you don't have anything on display outside of the shelf that's right behind you there, and you rotate that. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I've seen Letty Enterprises. I've seen the warehouse behind the scenes, and everything is boxed up right now.
Yeah, everything's 90% of it's boxed up. It's all. I'm taking it all to heart because I'm trying to figure out in my head, like I have the way I want to display stuff. There's definite displays, and then there's ones that I feel like are going to be more fluid and change things up. And then I have other areas in my basement where I could potentially have a mini display, an area that could be perfect for rotating a scene. I've got my stairwell into the basement has a really nice spot where I can do like an open floating shelf or something, and I can set stuff up there if I feel like I want to, just change up what I see as I come down into the basement. And then, just the whole idea of refreshing stuff. I mean, this guy right here, Shore Trooper, I haven't opened that figure since I got it a year ago. And I just felt like it was time to open it up. And the figure is just so awesome. And when I open it up, I'm just like, it puts a big smile on my face. I'm like, thankful that I was able to get the figure when I did at the price that I did. Cause the guys are talking in the chat. I mean, people are losing out on bids at $650 for that figure. And yeah, I'm just like, it's not, I mean, I paid up for it, but I didn't pay that much for it. And I don't know, just being able to open up a figure like that. I mean, I usually go to the point where I'm taping up the shipper boxes and everything. So it's like, it's totally packed up. But yeah, I mean, it's a great way to, if you've got too many, if you're like Roy and you have a special affinity for all the figures in your collection, yet you don't have the space to display everything. I mean, you have room for storage, but you don't have room for display. It's just a great way to do it up, do up the collection. Just if it's an entire scene you want to do, if it's a certain figure you want to do, if you've got a setup like Roy, where it's very clean, very focused on the figures or the duo of figures, it's a very easy way to switch things out. But yeah, we'll see. Someday when pigs fly and I have a display space and my stuff on display, we'll see how mine is. But I just love the idea, and I think people may decide to hold on to figures a little bit longer or whatever if they kind of go with this technique.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's very hard to know you're not displaying your complete collection. Mm-hmm. It's definitely taking its toll sometimes, thinking should I get rid of half of my stuff, but yeah, it's hard to keep them boxed up. But this makes them feel fresh, and for me it works. And my setup will always look the same. I never will have to expand. I can't even expand in this room, and that's something which you can see with people. Starting out with half-filled cabinets and then filling them up slowly, and once they get enough figures, they'll just bulge out of their boxes or their display space, and just keeping the focus on certain figures, or just keep your display nice and clean, just how you like it, and not put them in there, or just slam everything into one box just to just slam them away. It's it's hard. It's hard to keep them away in boxes, but it's definitely makes for a better display, in my opinion.
So TC, not to leave you out of the conversation, but you kind of alluded to this, earlier with kind of paring down your collection and kind of also kind of feeling that guilt of like, just as Roy mentioned, it's a struggle. I mean, there's nothing easy about being a collector, don't get me wrong. That's why we have almost an infinite number of topics that we could talk about to help people out. But you talked about having, half your collection as well kind of out on display too. I mean, not displayed in boxes. And I'm probably the opposite end of this. Like, I don't think I could, the way I'm wired, I can't have something I know that it's of high quality and it was expensive, and knowing that if I have a spot I want to try to find. So I'm the opposite of Roy, where Roy would have 2 figures per shelf. I would try to find a way to fit 7 into one of those boxes, and it would look awful. I mean, Roy's collection is very clean looking. Mine is probably not going to look that good.
Well, it's your style if you like it. Sorry, TC.
So I have a question for Roy. So eventually, if I were to continue on down this path in the immediate future, I could put some boxes we have like a little side attic. It's insulated okay, but I live in Georgia, and so Georgia's like, of all the states, it's one of the most humid states in the entire United States. And it can get pretty brutal in the summer. And if it's not well insulated and there's not good airflow, I do worry about storing figures in the storage that's not inside a home, like that type of climate. And where you live, Roy, does it, is that a concern?
It would be a concern for me if I had a different kind of shed, but my storage space is below this big apartment building. And it's actually always around 18 degrees, I think, Celsius, that is, of course. And it's very well ventilated and never humid or never very dry. So it's actually a perfect place to store them. If it were anything different, I would definitely consider about it wouldn't be a good space to store them indeed. So that's definitely something you have to be concerned about and take into account.
Yeah. Because I think like with me, I'm building out my office now. You can't see a lot of it, and eventually I'll do a room tour. It's just there are like 4 things I need to do before I show anybody, because I'm trying to rearrange things. I can build out along the room, but I think like, once it gets to like 60, 70, that number of figures, it can kind of start to tell, unless I really build out along the walls, it starts to get a little crammed. And so I'm cool with rotating, along that number, and just, having that system where Roy might rotate his figures. I'll put them in a pecking order and I'll get rid of some of them. Because as time goes on, there will inevitably be new favorites, and I'm cool with that. So that's kind of my rotation, modified version. But Roy, I really like your style, and it's a great solution to the issue a lot of collectors have.
Yeah, just because you have a limited display space doesn't mean you can't have a big collection, I think. And
exactly.
That's something you're right. You need to think about. Yeah.
So I'll tie a bow on this. So Roy pretty succinctly said what my collecting strategy has been is get a new figure.
Well, actually, you're rotating your figures. You just don't know it yet. He'll sell them and buy them back. So
that's what it is. I keep them for about 2 or 3 months and then I sell them. So my storage space is eBay.
Yeah.
And then I buy them back.
Leasing.
Yeah.
Leasing.
I basically am. So I mean, gosh, guys, I know we could keep going on this, but I keep trying to remind myself that it's getting extra late in the Netherlands, and we still have a really awesome figure to talk about here with the solo Mudtrooper. So, Roy, it was kind of your topic. I just want to kind of give you the chance if there's any thoughts that you want to share with our our viewers and listeners here.
No, I hope I made my point in a different language.
That's the thing. Every time you're on, like, we talk daily, and you don't think your English is great. You talk better than probably 75% of Americans, and you are basically having a podcast here in a second language. I mean, every time that just blows my mind. Yeah.
I mean, I was stuttering over there earlier. You're nice to clear.
And yeah. I try to every so often when Roy and I are talking, I'll think I'm all clever, and instead of just typing him something, I'll go to Google Translate and say it in Dutch. And I mean, there was, one of the episodes I let it off with like a Dutch opening, and I would have given myself maybe like a C-. It wasn't good. Like Fuzemulars, it wasn't good. It's a tough language.
It's just hard to make. I know what I want to say, and if I type it down, it's just tons easier to type in English. I'm way quicker in English when I type it down, but talking is certainly at this hour a little bit of stretch, but I'm getting more okay with it.
You are doing fantastic, my friend. And the more you do it, the better you get. So
yeah.
I know I think you said you've got an English course coming up soon. You should just, submit all of the episodes that you've been on this and say,
that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
See, I can speak of the English.
Yeah. I am Roy, and this is my hamster.
Yeah. All right, guys. On to the Mudtrooper. Oh. So I'll give the stats, and again, I'm going to give Roy the opportunity to talk first, because before I give the stats, Roy was the first person that I knew that was, calling for this to be a figure that was going to do well in the secondary market, that it was a sleeper hit, that people were going to have underordered it, and just it had a very, iconic type looking look. And unfortunately, it was hurt by the long lead time from, it was just shy of 2 years. So we are talking about Han Solo, Mudtrooper version from Solo, A Star Wars Story, MMS 493. The MSRP is $235. You will be hard pressed to get one for that price now, although the market's fluctuating a little bit. It's very hard to find one for retail. And Roy, cover your ears. I already let mine go.
What?
I know. All right, as I mentioned originally, and I still had it for enough
in Dutch.
Yeah. You can't you can punch up. You can't.
Yeah, I'll just circle. That's a good word for it. Yeah.
Announced originally June 1st, 2018, prior to Chris and I even founding Six Scale Scavengers here. Released April 29th, 2020. The Hot Toys original estimate was Q2 to Q3 2019. So well over a year later than they initially expected. And, it hit stateside here July, August 2020. So, Roy, we've got the blogger photos up. It did not crash my computer. I did finally find out that it was the Maul pictures. For whatever reason, the way I saved them just did not work well with my computer. So apologies to everybody at the beginning of the show for my absence, but quite honestly, it's probably not the worst thing in the world. So, Roy, I'm going to give you the floor, my friend, because, for anybody that's a new listener, new viewer, you've been on this show a bunch of times before too. So, for somebody that maybe didn't get your original, analysis as it relates to this fantastic figure, I want to give you the floor to start here.
Well, yeah. This is, I think I have some sort of a sixth scale sense. Because the first pictures of this figure, and I was just sold on it, and I had the same feeling for the Short Trooper and some of the other figures, and it's, I don't know why, but it's something about that style from Solo and the style from Rogue One. They did something with the designs and took something from the old and mixed them with something new, and it just turns out to be just such a good looking design for the Mudtrooper, and in this form, in 6L form, it just it hits every button for me. It's I think it's a must get if you like Star Wars, or if you even like troopers, if you like troopers, you should definitely have this on the shelf. It's just such a cool figure, and the execution is near perfect. It would have been perfect for me if they included a second head sculpt with only the chin part, so you could display him with the helmet on without having any issues of scuffing the paint, which I'm very afraid of. I've already talked with some people like Zach from Collecting Weekly about making a molding, maybe a second head sculpt myself for displaying him with the helmet on and not risk scarring or scuffing that excellent head sculpt. Although I do have the other version as well from Solo, but yeah, I think that's the only flaw in this figure, that the head sculpt is so pressed on when you put on the helmet, which looks so good.
I mean, for our gamers out there, I mean, this has got a very Fallout vibe.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
It's Chris, you've got this in hand now, correct?
Yeah. Yep. I just cracked it. I mean, I had cracked it open when I first got it and inspected it. But first time pulling it out and displaying it and stuff. Again, just opening up this figure and had watched all the reviews and obviously seen all the blogger pictures and everything. It just looks amazing, but definitely in person, this figure really, it's just so detailed, and the materials and the textures and the weathering. Kunji Club, definitely seeing Death Troopers. But anyway, it's just such a cool figure, I think. And that's why, like, I knew Roy, he's talked about the Shore Trooper and everything. And that's why I wanted to have my Shore Trooper next to my Mudtrooper tonight. And then now next to the Mando. And I think it just gives you a different trooper design, Star Wars figure design. And I think Hot Toys nailed it. And there's nothing that I could really, just having it open briefly, that I would really say that they needed to improve on. Definitely the point that Roy made with potential damage to the sculpt with the mask on and everything, that's obvious. But other than that, I think just such a great figure. And it just, I wish we got more figures from this movie. Like, I just really wished that it was received better, because getting a figure like this, I mean, just think of all the other, figures that you could get from that lineup. I know that they teased a Mimban Trooper at San Diego Comic-Con several years ago, and
Range Trooper
just look amazing. And it's just too bad we'll, probably never see those figures at this point. Yeah. TC, what do you think about it?
Yeah, you're right, Chris. I mean, it is a shame, because they really could have built out a really great line. I mean, it's a fine line with the 4 figures, but it had potential. Kira figure,
Lando, yeah.
I mean,
Memphis Nest.
Oh, Memphis Nest would have been
people were
insane.
calling for that figure, and I think those would have been some good releases. But specifically to the Mudtrooper, this is like what you're alluding to earlier, Chris, is like this Ultra HD figure in a sense where the body is new. I mean, this is I think a new body that they deployed for Han Solo and this Mudtrooper. It's thinner, and the arms are better proportioned, and the tailoring's top notch. It just looks like a mini human, and this is I think a more of a recent thing. Like, once you get Infinity War and beyond, all these figures that have come down the pike have that hyper real Ultra HD look to them, and it's great all around. I mean, it's already sought after. I mean, it may have dipped a little in the aftermarket, but it's still over $300 right out of the gate, and it was $235. It was retailing $235. Actually, I had this on order. I don't know if I'm getting one, because every place that I've looked at, it's sold out. Sideshow waitlist is full. It's nowhere. No smaller retailer has it anywhere. I have it through Stevens, but he only got like half or a third of his original order in, so I don't know if it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
So self-shame alert. And no, Sean, I may eventually regret letting this one go, but we've already reviewed the standard solo, and Roy made the point that I wanted to make was, I got terrified of posing this with the mask on, and the pose that I had was, basically helmet off, holding to the side, same solo, this, basically this, this pose, but instead of him holding the rifle with both hands, basically the helmet under his arm. And when I had that next to the other solo figure, I probably not a popular opinion, but I actually prefer the standard solo figure to this just marginally. And when I made that decision, I was like, I don't necessarily need two solo figures, in that manner, back to back or side to side. And decided to put those funds towards something else. But I can certainly appreciate that this is a great figure. I saw, a few people, I think I just saw Danny say that, somebody said this is a figure of the year candidate. Mario, the Intergalactic Arms dealer, said this is a figure of the year contender. So certainly for sure. I mean, there's going to be a lot. I feel like Star Wars is really kind of knocking it out of the park this year, with a couple exceptions like the Jawa set and a couple others. But I mean, just fantastic, for sure. No real gripes for me at all. And I mean, you got two different looks. I mean, I've seen people troop build this. Eric from Tashi Station has like 6 of these.
Jeez, crow.
Yeah. So that's probably why TC you can't find any out there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I can't blame him.
Yeah.
It's pretty epic, and he's got like it's cool little diorama. He's got some cool dioramas with his magic cases. So, but for sure. So, I think it's time to rate this. I don't think that. I mean, there's probably more pluses than minuses. I think the minuses are very small. I think we've covered about this figure about head to toe with everything. The tailoring, everything's fantastic. The boots are awesome. The shin guards, the tailoring of the under outfit, the cape is well done. Obviously the head sculpt is the same as the standard release, but the hair pops off so you can put the helmet on. I mean, it's hard to find fault with this, guys. So, Roy, I'll give you honors. We'll do the scale of 1 to 5. The type of rifle that this figure comes with is the E10 blaster rifle. So, Roy, we will rate this on a scale of 1 to 5 E10 blaster rifles.
Okay, yeah, well, first I have to translate my personal ranking system towards a scale from 1 to 5. I don't know if you remember my personal ranking scale, because I have Bryan, a TC, a Chris, and a Roy.
Oh, okay. And let's do that. You know what? You're the best. You can do.
Okay, yeah.
So you have to explain why.
Yeah, I'll explain. Bryan is a figure you should get just to have it, but will get bored of it and sell. So that's Bryan. A TC is a figure you should definitely get multitudes from. So that's a TC. Chris, that's a figure so good that even though you don't collect the line, you should definitely get it. And Roy is a figure which looks good in your collection, fits within your focus, and you should just get it or regret it. So for me, this sits between a Roy and a TC. I think you should just get it, or you should get multitudes from, because it will definitely spice up your display. So that's it for me. It's a TC or the Roy.
Just the micro. I almost think we might need to adopt that as the new rating. I mean, we're starting with episode 60 next. I mean, that is a very unique way to look at the rating scale. I mean, 1 to 5 is very trivial, and we tend to be overly positive, but I think that actually puts it into context, because that really gives advice to somebody if they wanted to get a figure or not. We're gonna have to talk about this offline. Where I think you're on.
Yeah, and in numbers, I would definitely, if you put it on the shelf as a trooper, it's a 5, definitely. If you put it on the shelf as a Han Solo figure, I would rate it slightly lower because of the issues with the scuffing and what you say. What you said, the normal Han Solo version is the better figure if you want a Han Solo version. But as a trooper, this is 5 for me.
Okay. TC, do you want to throw in a rating from afar, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say 5. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's got the head sculpt, weathering, new body. It's great.
Chris, your instantaneous review from the season.
I know, right? So, I mean, I'm right there. I can't argue with anybody on those points. It's a 5, man. It's a 5.
I was gonna go lower, but just for the sake of being unanimous here, because apparently Roy's got even better English than I do. No surprise there. I'll go with a 5. I mean, there's the nitpicky things are so small about this, and I don't think I'll ultimately end up regretting it, just because I do. I mean, we talked about it in the regular solo episode. Like, I have that figure in such high regard in my own personal collection. It's tough to unseat it. So, but that being said, in a vacuum, this is a 5 for sure. So don't sleep on this. It's only going to get more expensive as the years go on. All right, Roy, I did my best to keep us to an hour and a half. We're at 6 minutes over. We were 6 minutes late. So hopefully we didn't keep you up too late here in the Netherlands. I'm sure you're going to ready to hit the hay here soon and head to bed, but I can't even thank you enough for joining us. I love, obviously we talk to you daily, but to be able to do this in this format, it's one of the reasons why I personally love doing this show every 2 weeks. We're not doing this for fame or fortune. We're not making any money off this by any means, but it's just so cool to be able to be amongst friends and talk about what we love. Yeah,
just major thanks again for having me on. It's always a pleasure, and I could go on for another hour, but I'm afraid I'll wake up everybody in the complete apartment building here. So that's probably not the best, but I could talk for hours about this. I love it, and thanks for giving me the platform to do it.
Anytime, my friend, anytime. All right, look, guys, let's do our plugs. So we've got our website, sixscalescavengers.com. We've got all our database and checklists. I'll be updating it later for the new Midas figure, the Iron Man figure, and get all the links up to there. You'll see links to sites like Underground Figures and Sideshow, etc. We've got our TeePublic store where Roy's got all of his fantastic designs out there. Every once a month or so, we run TeePublic runs sales, so you can get our shirts on a discount. And again, we get a couple dollars back that we put towards our operating budget. We've got our Facebook page. We're on Instagram. I guess we're on Twitter. On our audio podcast feed is Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and sixscalescavengers.libsyn.com. If you want to grab that RSS feed and throw it into your podcast catcher of choice. And finally, we mentioned them a couple times during the episode, trying to hawk some deals for a Winter Soldier figure. Scott with Parker Files, again, part of the Scavenger Council. His channel's on YouTube and doing all those fantastic Marvel Hot Toys video reviews that are out there. And I know he's got some more coming up down the line. I think he's getting the Stan Lee figure, and I know that he's getting the Nebula figure. So I'm going to look forward to both of those. And I'm a little worried about him being way positive about Nebula, because that might sway my opinion. His reviews are just fantastic. So, all right, guys, that brings us to the end of the show. Any final thoughts here before we bid all of our scavengers adieu?
No, just another thanks for Roy coming on, and I know you'd like to try to be on more often. I know it's really tough with the time difference, and yeah, we'll make it happen in the future. But yeah, always great to chat, man.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that is going to do us. So this wraps up episode 59 of the Six Scale Scavengers show. Chris, my friend, bring us home.
Excelsior.